Shalom לכולם. לכולם. I'm learning. Good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Manal, as I don't know what you've said about me, but I'm not going to take a long time in introducing myself. I would probably say, first and foremost, I am a human being, a woman, a Palestinian, and I'm proud.
אוקיי, שמי מנל, אני לא יודעת מה נדב אמר עליי, אבל אני אישה פלסטינית
ושמחה להיות פה.
ובן אדם.
I'm not going to get into how I got here and the interrogation I get every time I pass through the checkpoint from Bethlehem to Jerusalem. I think it's more important to probably link to what you guys are doing tonight. I'm fully supporting you in what you're doing, but I want to tell you something. When me and Gila approached your crowd, you looked very few to me, and that is a disappointment. However, when I heard the voices, when I heard my friends around here shouting the loudest they could, I didn't even have a clue of what you guys were saying until this was translated to me. I felt ashamed of myself that I thought you were few. If you can go home and each person can recruit one more person, then you're not few. And when you are more than one, then you are many. And I think that's very important to realize. The power is not in the masses, the power is in the passion and the willingness to make a change. I want to tell you about my family. I've had a family in Gaza. I still have some left. In 2008, your government decided to launch bombardment on Gaza. I don't know if I'm going to call it a war, because I think a war requires two equal sides. And I don't think we, the Palestinians, are equal with you guys. At least you act from a freedom platform. We don't. We're still occupied by your government. On the 28th of December, around 5 o'clock, I don't know exactly the minute, but I do know the hour. I learned through TV, in particular Al Jazeera TV. I saw the flesh of my own family. 15 members of my own beloved family dropped dead in one single blast. There were 2 moms, 2 dads, and 6 children to one mom and dad, and 5 children to another mom and dad. The eldest was Muhammad, and he was 12. And the youngest was Aya, and she was 2. And in between the 2 ages, you can just imagine any number of another 9 children. I'm just going to tell you one story of that child who made the most impression on me and made me leave everything I had planning for the next 5 years, growing my business and maybe doing my PhD. Instead, I decided to do what I'm doing right now, speaking out loud and telling people what happens when governments disagree with other governments and decide to launch wars on one another. Governments do not get affected, but they infect the nations they're launching wars against. I am one example right in front of you. If I tell you the story of the eldest, his name is Muhammad. It was Eid. I don't know if you guys know what Eid is. Yeah?
What?
2 months before the launch of the bombardment on Gaza, it was Eid. Eid
Holiday.
al-Adha.
Holiday.
Yeah. Chag.
Chag.
And I called my family, like everybody lives abroad. If you want to connect with your ceremonies, your holy ceremonies, you call home. And I called my family in Gaza. And it happened to be Muhammad picking the phone. And as soon as I said it's me, he was overjoyed. He said, Auntie Manal, I want to ask you for one thing, just one thing for this Eid. And I said, go on. I thought he wanted to have a toy or a game, PlayStation game or something. No. There was a match for Real Madrid versus Chelsea, and it was in February the year after. And he was begging me to try my best to get him a ticket, get him a visa, and take him over to England so he can watch that match. A very simple dream any of your kids can achieve. Any of your kids here can wish that wish, and you guys can make it happen. But for Muhammad, he didn't even make it for 2 months later. He was slaughtered by one of those gifts Israel sent on Gaza. They told you that they sent it on Hamas. Have they really vanished, Hamas? You all know that Hamas are still there. You all know that if there are any launches of rockets, they are still happening as we speak. So nothing has changed. But what has changed in people's lives is the losses. The losses of my family and the losses of many other families on both sides. I'm not going to neglect the impact on the other side. But how can we link this to the events you guys are protesting for? Is the fact that the losers are the governments, and the lost souls are people like me and you. Most of the times they're colored and poor. They're not rich. They're not governmental kids. They're not royal kids. They're kids like mine and yours. A few months later, the number raised, and I've lost in total 22 people in my family. The last was my beloved brother, who could not get his basic medications because of the siege on Gaza, and he died last year. So, the reason I decided to speak, although I thought you were few, I thought to myself, maybe each one of you can go home and remember this voice. Not my voice, but the voice of the victim, the voice of the innocent. I don't need to convince you that this war is illegal. In the terms of human rights, in the terms of any humanity laws, no wars can be justified, and there is no moral army. Do not tell me there is any moral army anywhere in the world. I don't need to preach to you guys because you're already converted. But I urge you to go and tell your people, your families, what happened to my family. This family could be a family in Tehran, could be a family in Sderot, could be a family in Tel Aviv, it could be a family in Sudan, could be a family in Afghanistan. What we have here to share, maybe not political vision, maybe not nationality, and maybe not religion, but what we all share everywhere in the world, as long as we got 2 eyes and 2 legs and 1 heart, is the shared humanity we have. Nobody can argue or discriminate against humanity we share. I urge you to remind yourself that you're not few, but you need to be determined to be more than just few. Raise your voices until one day you will reach 2 million people marching here in Jerusalem, everywhere in fact, against this insanity of decision. I'm not gonna elaborate on what the war brings, not just in human losses, but also financially, because I'm sure you all know this. But I want you to know that my people in Beit Kahel gave me a heavy message to you guys. Some of you have met my people in Beit Kahel, and they're, by the way, not my family. Those Palestinians said to me, go and we bless you. Go and stand among the Jewish hands who are working for justice, for themselves and for others. And go and tell them that do not forget about us. We're also going to be affected. If Israel goes in war against Iran, and Iran going to respond, then it's not just your home will be affected. It's not just your family will be affected. There are people who live in around the corner who was segregated from you because of the wall, the apartheid separation wall, but they are just around the corner. It takes 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get to the other side of the wall, doesn't it? So, do not forget about the Palestinians who share the same fears as you. Israel does not represent them. This government does not decide on their behalf, but at least they're deciding for their lives. If there will be any losses of lives, it will be on both sides, on this side and the other side. So do not neglect the fact that the Palestinians are also in the same boat as you are. Please go home and strengthen yourself from inside, and believe in yourself and believe in the few you are, because you're not going to carry on being few. I never thought I will stand in Jerusalem among Jews, talking to them, telling them my story. But here I am, right outside the Prime Minister's house. Maybe every word, and I hope every word I have said tonight has been recorded. This could cost me a lot. This could cost me not coming back to my country. But I don't care. I felt like I needed to join your voices, and I needed to tell you about my family. It's not an easy thing to stand here and tell you the numbers of the 22 I've lost. Every one number is one life, one story, and one name. Thank you for your attention.